Hey everybody, welcome back to Tuesday is Chess Day, your favorite Legends of Runeterra podcast. I'm Bobby Sapphire. I'm here with my three friends. Hashtag us four guys. I've got Shane, who's been away for a couple weeks, but he's back. Sir Dappy, what's up, baby?
What's up? I was sick. I'm back. My voice is better. Everything's good.
Oh yeah, I get that sickness, that COVID-19 that's going around. It's okay.
Right?
It's not the best. We got newly ranked master of Legends of Runeterra, Manton. What's up, Cody? Master Cody.
Hey, I appreciate it. I
Yeah,
like that name. That's a good one.
Master
Done
Cody.
with the grind. I can play the game finally. It's great.
Yeah, it's like you unlock the keys to the castle. Look at all these rooms. I thought it was just one big antechamber, but it's really all these rooms in the castle. You can do anything now. Or you could do what I do and just keep grinding the same two decks at master level, trying to get up. But I don't recommend it. Look at I mean, here's honestly sarcastic. Playing on two continents. Joe, are you a double master yet?
No, I stopped playing on EU. When I was doing the grind up, I was asking people like if they cared about stuff like that, and people were like, "No, no one cares about that. This is for tryhards." And then I was like,
I don't know.
"So it's
Alanska is still playing on US. I played him yesterday.
yeah." Well, like there is the issue with like if you don't have multiple region accounts and you want to play with like your friends from other regions, that like sucks, right? And so I do want to get EU up. And it was funny because after Swim hit rank 1, he was like, "Oh, what do I do now? Make an EU account." And he struggled immensely, but he eventually got it done. And it's just like the regrind is rough. I think I'm somewhere in silver right now.
Mm-hmm.
But I definitely got through most of, I think, like bronze or whatever with like I went from bronze to like up silver with like one loss or something. People were just, they don't have the collection or just not very good or kind of know how to play the game.
Where about
But
the
like that's
population?
You were like
expected.
slowly grinding free to play, right?
Yeah. Yeah. Whereas I was just like, okay, 7 win in arena, 7 win in arena, off the chests, boom, bought my 3 Heimers, go.
Mm-hmm.
Playing with some Plaza Guardians, let's go.
Yeah, I mean, whatever it takes.
Yeah.
Cool. So yeah, we've got three masters now, and we need Shane and then Drew if he ever comes back on the podcast. Drew's sick now. To hit master as well, and then we'll be a full master podcast. Will be great.
Yep. I plan to grind this week, starting where Cody did at Platinum 2. Now that I'm back, and how many games did it take you?
76, 77,
All
somewhere
right,
in
I'll
that
do it in
range.
74. There we go.
Ooh, friend.
When I
Called
say
out.
it's, I'm calling, I'll bet the over on that one.
Yeah, I'm gonna bet the over on that one too, for sure. Oh man.
Well, I'll give you 85. I'll still take the
Ooh,
over.
85. Okay.
And I'll still take the over.
Oof.
Oh
Mm.
man. No,
Jeez.
no,
Okay.
no faith, Joe.
No,
So,
no.
go
It'll
ahead,
be
Manson.
faster though because most of my grind was done before they changed the animations, and those animation changes are actually a big deal for every deck, even the already fast decks.
Yeah, and even just like all the things your opponents are doing happen so fast. Like the draw three cards stuff is like so good. They just like the animation starts, but then they're like, nah, forget it. They're all just in your hand now.
Yeah, I don't know if it was because I started playing better players as soon as I hit like Diamond 1, or is because the animations were faster, but I actually started enjoying the deck more to a point where after I got to Master, I was like, okay, I can play new decks now. And then I was like, let's just play some more spiders. And
Yeah, I did the exact same thing. So do you want to talk about your final grind up? Because like you and I on that same trajectory where we really just hammered the Darius Spider deck.
yeah, the deck's super good. I tried switching to like a couple different decks once I got into like Diamond 3 and 2 is like this weird hump because you're just playing people all over the place. And like one match you'll be playing against a plat player, the next match you'll be playing against someone already in Masters, and then everyone in like the Diamond 3-2 range they're just playing every possible deck you can imagine, decks you haven't seen in ranks and ranks and ranks. So I tried switching around to other decks, but the win rate was just not good. Not as consistent. I mean, I ended up finishing with a 71% win ratio from Plat 2 to Challenger, which feels pretty good because I didn't have like early gold stuff being tracked that was able to like boost up my stats or anything. And the deck is really fast. It doesn't really matter where the meta goes as long as it's not just 90% control decks or like strong mid range. The deck's extremely strong. I did make a couple changes to it, putting a couple of new guys in. But other than that, the deck it's just about getting the games in which I knew it always was, but that's the hard part.
Yeah, it sounds like we had pretty similar trajectories, just maybe like a little bit different on like where the hump was. Like I talked about it last week, but I struggled a lot when I got to Diamond 4. But once I picked up Spiders, I like quickly moved into Diamond 1, and then just had that one session where we streamed, Joe and I, and came really close, fell back, and got it again. But yeah, I'm so funny. Like I don't even try and make changes. I'm playing the same exact list that I played 2 weeks ago. Haven't changed a thing. Love everything about it. Everything cranks. Every time I top deck a Darius, I'm like feeling so good. It feels so good. So yeah, I still like the deck a lot. Yeah. Do you want to say anything else about
Yeah,
your
it was
climb?
just like the reason I got stuck in like stuck. I mean, stuck for like what 10 games or something like that.
Yeah,
In
whatever.
in like Diamond 3 is the Ezreal Elnuk deck just became super popular. And that deck is like super hard for the spider deck in a lot of cases. Like sometimes you can rush them down and you're fine, but in a majority of the cases, if they get a big Elnuk off, you probably lost. And I was facing probably like half of my games against that, and it was just like, oh, this is disgusting. This is
Yeah,
like,
that's tough. I
That's my
remember when I
favorite deck.
first started seeing that, and it was like 6 Elnuks, 6 Elnuks. But then I started playing it, it would be like complete whiff, and I'd be like, oh, okay, never mind. This deck is a joke.
It's my favorite
Um,
deck. Oh my gosh, I love it.
That's great. It's probably my favorite deck to play against now that I've switched decks, because I freaking laugh hysterically anytime someone Elnuks against me. It's just like a hysterical joke. They're in for so much pain. It's like they play their every character, every creature they have, and I just box them all. I put them in a fucking box,
oh
and
yeah.
they all go away forever, and it feels so good.
Swim did me a huge favor by releasing that prankster list because the Darius Spider deck just eats that deck. I think
Mhm.
I was like running like 90+% against that deck. Every time I sat down, I was like, okay, free win, free win, free win, free win. Because you just, all of your guys go over their guys, and your deck's technically faster, which is hilarious because you're playing bigger guys who can't be blocked in any case.
Mhm.
So I was like, hey, if this deck sticks around in like, that was one of the reasons I kept playing it even in Challenger, in Masters, was because it people were still playing that trying to climb because it just came out.
Um,
A lot of guys in the
Yeah.
Discord had struggles with that. They tried to play it and they were like 1-4 and random stuff, but like
Yeah, I was glad
lower
to see
ranks.
that, because looking at the deck and like watching Swim play it, I watched his climb to number 1, and it was sweet, and like like everything just went perfect for him. Like I mean, don't he's solid. He's obviously good, but it was just like, man, people were. He beat. Did he beat me with that deck? Yeah, he beat me with like one of the first iterations of the deck. Um, but it's like hard. You don't know exactly what's going on, and like even you caught it. Like, oh yeah, you shouldn't attack there because you're just gonna like take 2 for no reason. And so people just like dunk off tiny incrementals, and yeah, he was just punishing people. Anyone who like allowed themselves to get under 10, it was just like once he drew a prankster, it was GG. He does a really good job of like holding his kill stuff, so he can like prankster into like a cask scales salesman into put 3 guys out and they're just auto dead.
Yep. I found that like the reason the spider deck does so well is because you basically get a lease transformation for free against that deck because it's really bad at trading with you. And then you just pull their pranksters in every time they play it. Instead of just going face, I would just pull the prankster in and kill it at whatever turn after he
Oh
played it.
yeah, for sure.
And it was just there's no comeback. Their hands are gone. There's nothing they can do after that.
It's actually like a pretty classic example. I wonder if I would write about this, but it's a pretty classic example of like who's the beatdown from Magic, where like it's 2 super aggro decks, but when you know that they have absolutely nothing to deal with your Elise, and you can like take the first 2 turns on, you become the control. All right, I'm gonna flip my Elise, I'm gonna eliminate all your pranksters, and you're never gonna be able to block any of my guys for the rest of the game.
Mhm.
And it feels good.
Yeah, and then you just start dropping like 6/6s, and they're like, "Oh my god, it's over."
Yeah, I would say the only time like that it gets like really out of hand is when they have like multiple of the 1/1 who makes a 4/4 and the free 3/2. I'm so bad with the Shadow Owls names, but
Cursed Keeper.
Curse Keeper and the guy, the 0 cost
Butcher.
3/2 who and Butcher, right? So the Butcher Curse Keeper combo. So they have on turn 2 like a 4/4 and a 3/2. Obviously like they're like it's a good deck. It's gonna have nut draws. But for the most part, yeah, I think your assessment's pretty good, and I love the classic example of who's the beatdown and being the aggro deck that becomes the control deck.
Mhm.
Um, I guess I'll talk about my grind next. Since I'm more nascent at Master than Joe. I too went like stuck with Spider Darius when I first got Master, and I lost a bunch. And then, did we talk about Heck Dinger last week? I can't remember what we talked about last week.
I think it was last week. I had talked about running like Dinger and a Hecarim package for like kind of just better spells, because like Vile Feast was really good there, and Whale was really good. And you
Yeah,
were
and
saying you had considered the same as well, and like we had both built lists.
yeah, so since then, I climbed to the top 40 of the Americas with it. I held out for a couple days. Like I took a couple days, like I took a day off, and then I couldn't play following day. And then I played Saturday night, and I lost so much. I lost like almost every game I played. I was in like the 600s. I was like, I thought I was good. I suck. Fuck this game is terrible.
See,
And
that's
I
the
was
thing,
like,
right? But you climbed with a deck that was like different, right? I've noticed that a lot of
Mhm.
times, like when Swim creates a new deck, he climbs really far, and you created a deck, you climbed really far, and then once people see it a couple times, it's like, oh, I know what to look for. I'm gonna be able to play
Mhm.
around it.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
just don't know how many people actually saw my deck because I don't think anyone else started playing it. Like Swim plays a deck and everyone starts copying it, you know. But I started losing with that. I switched to spiders. I started losing with that. Took another couple days off, and then over the last couple days, climbed back up with spiders. I beat someone playing Shen Fiora with the spider deck, and I was like, all right, retiring the spider deck, never playing, never playing it again. I used all my luck on that one match, and then so I went back to the Hecdinger, and I've only played it a little bit, but I'm back into the top 200 and feeling pretty good. I'm gonna jinx myself right here, but I haven't dropped a game with the Hecdinger deck since switching back to it, so.
Yeah.
I'm glad because I still feel pretty good about it. I might look to make some changes, but yeah, I'll be looking to try and jump back into the top 50, and then ultimately, like my goal is to just keep incrementing up back into the top 50, top 25, top 10, etc.
Yeah. So for anyone that doesn't know, the spider match when you play against Shenfior is supposed to be like
Oh yeah,
completely unwinnable.
it's
Oh yeah,
1%.
it is unwinnable. Yeah.
It's 1%, and I almost auto scooped, but I'm like, I never just auto scoop, especially at master. I thought I played it pretty well. I kind of wish I had the game recorded because like Joe likes to tell me that I greed my chempunk pickpockets, but really like it's not only that I greed them, but people will greed against them, and they'll spend a lot to make sure that I don't steal one spell, especially in a deck like Fiora, Shen, where like none of their spells are totally helping me. They're not like huge blowouts. When they're the aggro deck and I'm like some control deck and all my guys have one toughness, you know. So he wasted like a prismatic way early and then never found one again. So every time I cast a burn spell, it connected. Oh sorry, no, I'm talking about the spider deck. Sorry. Sorry, he never had anything for my trades. Like we just always traded.
Yeah.
And then but then he couldn't deal when I started dropping like 6/6s and Dariuses, and I was able to go over the top. It was sweet. I was thinking about my Hectinger deck for a second.
Yeah, and that's fine. No, like you can definitely force in Chempunk pickpockets. Like those things are great. And it's just sometimes if you do it, you gamble and you lose if they had.
Yeah, I just got off the trajectory because I was talking about the spider decks. There's no Chempunk pickpockets in there. It's
Not the
like
spider deck.
I play so many games with a Hecdinger. But yeah, I whatever I did to get him to burn prismatic early, he didn't have any late game, and I was able to go over the top for the win, and it was like felt really good because like as you said, I expected myself to be like under 1% win rate against Fiora Shen.
Yeah. So do the viewers and listeners have a deck tech coming from you guys for spiders anytime soon?
Yep,
I mean,
there'll be a
I
video
wouldn't
out
mind
this week.
doing that. Yeah, if you're gonna do one or like even together, that would be cool too. So, yeah, that sounds cool.
You'll be in for a treat, guys.
You want to talk about what you've been doing, Joe?
I haven't been doing much of anything. Like I literally hopped back on. My chess was level 1 on Saturday, and I was like,
That's
oh,
a
and I was
yikes
like,
for
all
me,
right,
dog.
yeah. So I was like, expedition. All right, we're at like 9 or something, and then I got in a couple games this morning to make sure I was at 10. I just want my draft token. Don't care about anything else. I was trying to make a bunch of different decks without realistically kind of looking at the meta or breaking down anything. And I'll tell you right now, that's really bad. You shouldn't do that. I was just like, oh, I'm just gonna play Rekindler, and I'm gonna Rekindler Hecarim and Dinger, but then like I just didn't have the proper spell lineups, and I definitely wasn't running the box, and I just refused to make space for it. So I tanked the crap out of my thing and jammed all the way back into the 800s. So I went from like 20 to 800.
Yeah,
Trying
I
to be a
like
cool kid.
hopped into your Discord stream and it was like you won a game to go to 854, and I was like, yo.
Yo.
I think I was 754 for that one. But yeah.
Where's your Dawn and Dust tech? I thought you were gonna break that.
That's what I was doing, but I was doing it really bad.
Oh, so you were even.
I
But
was
then
doing
you
it
built
really
a
bad.
really sweet Demacia deck and climbed a bunch of spots, and I used all my wild cards to craft all my Lucians, which I'd never got because I like never did the Demacia. It was like still at 8.
Yeah.
So yeah, I burned all my wild cards to make that deck, and I had like a little hot run, but that was also when I had like lost a bunch, and I was like, oh, let me try this, and it worked for a little bit, but then I just started losing again.
Yeah. Yeah, I think I went from 800 to 400 with like no losses or maybe one loss. And like, so most of you guys are probably familiar with the Garen, Fiora Garen like Rekindler deck. Instead I went Lucian, Trip Lucian, 2 Fiora, 1 Garen. I wanted the Garen there to mess with people, so they thought it was that version. Because like people were just like, oh, maybe he doesn't have the Garen, is running a Fiora or something random, and like just kind of not know how the champion thing works. Definitely ran Rekindlers, but I was actually running Chronicler Ruins and Glimpses because the Lucian Senna combo would let you like swing and then like glimpse a guy, or Mark of the Owls, which I don't run yet, and like kill somebody because they left the guy unblocked because they're like, quick attack, why would I block that? And then you're like, all right, sack, smash your face, kill you, like get F, baby. Or just like Chronicler Ruin, all right, kill my Senna, Lucian flips, and then you're just like swing, and then they're like, oh shit. So like lots of like miniature disgusting things going on with it. Still in the like tweaking phases. Haven't played again since kind of those runs. So I'm probably already back to 500 from Decay, but there's definitely a lot of good stuff there. I think versus all of the aggro decks, it just crushes them because a spider deck isn't doing shit to a 1-drop 2/2. Nope, just running in and dying, and then you're just like 3/2 quick attacks. Like you can't block me. Oh, you swing, cool, whatever. And Price Steel Protectors to just protect the guys. I just felt like every time I played an aggro deck, it was a free win. And when I played against control decks, there was just too many guys. So it just felt like really good. And maybe I'm completely wrong because I was playing in the back of Master. But we'll see as I try to make the climb up closer and like tweaking and see how the deck works out.
I think there could be something cool with Demacia. I love the value they get from their guys. They're just like the elites and the 2/2 is just so good. I think there's something there. We just haven't fully explored it yet.
Yeah, I thought the deck was sweet. I think like Mark's would be a pretty good add. I think like Mark is one of the most busted cards there is. So being able to do that and then have like have Senna disappear mid combat to flip Lucian is like just pretty sweet in general. Yeah, I thought the deck was cool. Probably didn't have all the plays since you like came up with it and everything. Probably one of the reasons why I was losing a bit, but I loved watching you play it. It was sweet.
Yeah.
So
I find with like Demacia, because I really like Demacia as well. But this game is really weird in the aspect of like curving out feels wrong. Like it feels like the correct play is to take a turn off and build spell mana and underdevelop for like a major turn. And it's hard trying to figure out how to do that effectively. And so like the next thing I really want to look at is like looking at trying to take decks that have like key characters that are really good on certain turns and then like under dropping on turns around that in order to maintain your spell mana in a more aggressive way because the spells are super important. I found that like a lot of the games where I just went like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 were not like as strong as you think they would be. You just kind of get blown out
Isn't that
half the
Spider Thing?
time. Even with spiders, like I really liked dropping trying to underdrop on like 3, like play a 1-drop on 3 instead of anything else. And then that would bank my 2 mana going to 4 and then play a 6/6 on 4 and then swing out on my board because then I could back it up with like a +2/+2 or a mark or a glimpse in the back end. And that made like the deck way stronger. And so it's like taking that premise and then applying it to a bunch of other decks where you pick strategic turns to just, I'm not even going to run drops for this. I'm just going to run something below it that I can drop and then bank the mana. And I feel like going forward, that might be like a way to make stronger decks. I
Yeah,
don't know if
I'm-
I explained that like theory properly.
No, I think I mean I understand and feel pretty like I'm on the same team that with the spider deck, there are games when I curve out and I'm like, man, I'm never gonna play these pumps. I really need to like open attack and have these if they're gonna be good. And sometimes that's fine. So it's not like not curving out. So I mean sometimes when you curve out, things will also work out because when you open attack and you have all those pumps you drew, like things are gonna be fine. But yeah, when I can underdrop by even just 1 on 3, and then play a skitterer on 4 and have 2
Yep.
mana open, like that's something that I like to do. Or just like any way to get to just to underdrop a little bit, and really plan out that next attack turn, and how you handle your off turn is just so key because you really just want to be. I find that I always want to be opening attacking, and that's maybe why my games are going a little bit longer than yours based on just like our quick talk before. Is that I'll take more time trying to have the perfect off turn so that I can open attack and play my pumps.
Yeah, I would say like try to spend all of my mana on their turn, because I want to open attack, and then you just open attack, and if you have to cast a spell, then you do, because you don't want to walk into like pure removal, right? Like I guess if I went, I was on evens, we went 1, 2 on yours. I played 3, and I open attack. I'm clearly not gonna hit you, then play a guy and like run into like an avalanche or something. But I think it's also different because Demacia just has fat guys. So like an open on 4, I could just decide to play Bannerman and be like, oh, all of my guys can't get ruined anyways. It doesn't matter.
Yeah, it just depends
Deck
on
spots
like
are
obviously
different.
what the opponent is playing and what their
Mhm.
possible plays are and stuff.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think like you just have to know what your hand is, what your options are, what you possibly be seeing, and just make an appropriate game plan. But I agree with Cody that you know being conscious of when you need to underdrop is really really good.
And I think that's actually where Demacia is really good about it because their characters are so valued that you can find a lower end to drop off, and I think that's where Cody's theory might come into belly really well.
Yeah, that's what I was trying to allude to. Is like people aren't building decks with like that in mind. It's just situations that you get in, and then you're like, okay, I can do this and make this happen. But I'm wondering if you could take some of these characters who are like overcosted for their cost, and just assume that you're going to be playing them on off turns and not even run things in that slot, and then kind of make your game plan around. I'm going to make sure I have combat mana available for these core turns in the meta, and I'm going to use my already buff stats to kind of get around the fact that I'm not curving. And I wonder if that strategy ends up working out a little bit better.
I'd say like 4 is probably where, as an aggro deck, you can potentially take it off. Because like you'd like to hit 1, 2. 3 is where you could have a defensive combat spell if you needed, but you'd probably still want to kind of curve and then like open attack essentially on 4, depending on whether you're even or odds. And like I think that's around where you can underdrop. On 4, you could play a 2 and bank the 2 spell mana to have like a glimpse up, or like the Brothers Bond, depending on what you're playing, stuff like that. Whereas like it can be problematic if you're trying to save that for like a prismatic or a riposte.
Yep.
So it's just like depends on like the overall cost of your combat tricks and like what's going on. Whereas like if you're Shadow Isles, Mark of the Isles, and Glimpse are your main ones. Black Spear as a follow up, maybe, depending on like the list. So like it's much easier to make that happen by playing a 2-drop on 4.
Yeah. No, I agree. And it's like then it's like finding the best 2-drops that could be in that slot, right?
Yeah. You just have to like increase the number of 2-drops because you want to hit them on 4, or underdrop on 3, underdrop on 4, like slowly to make the spell mana.
Yeah, it could even be good in like in a mid-range deck where you're not even playing 1-drops. So you get the auto 1, you play a 2, you play a 2, you play 3, and you're just like your curve isn't like dramatically lower than your opponent.
Yeah.
And if they're already like good stat wise, then you're kind of sitting pretty. But then you keep getting this reoccurring mana that they're not getting if they're curving out.
I think you should play some Piltover and play some Eager Apprentice. You would love him.
Oh, Eager Apprentice.
Oh yeah.
I was thinking the same thing. Like this is why like Eager Apprentice and even like an aggro deck can be really strong.
He's really like a 0-drop 2/1. It's kind of nutty as long as you have the spells and like you're Piltover, so you're gonna have
right. Eventually, you're gonna have spells, right?
Yeah. So like that curve out's just always sweet. It just sucks when he gets Vow Feasted and you're like, all right, whatever.
Yeah, there's just like there's like an advantage to doing it with buffs, especially like permanent buffs, because like you get the value out of the card, you get the removal out of the card, but you also get the character to stick around.
Mhm.
And so I feel like while you can do that, and lots of decks do that with like mystic shots and stuff, it doesn't feel as valuable as it does when you actually use buffs on your character,
Yeah.
or you're using it to play reactively.
Yeah, so like if you rear guard into an Eager Apprentice and you brothers bond the two of them and smash them for 9, it's just
Yeah.
like
Feels good.
And
yeah, boy.
and they still have to deal with it like the next turn. You're like,
Yeah.
okay.
4-1 and a 5-2. Let's go. It's like a Trifarian. Build it and they will come.
Yeah.
But all right. So I guess we've talked about spiders and stuff. Like, what else from the metagame do you believe is kind of there, right? Because like, if we look at Mobalytics or Swimstream, it's they're talking about the ephemeral mid range, Kinko elusives, like Lux Karma still.
Yeah, I love Swim has really stepped it up on the deck descriptions too, even in the comment page.
Yeah.
Like Kinko elusives. This deck tries to use Kinko Wayfinder for big pulls and wins with disgusting elusives, like every other elusive deck. LMAO. Like it's just like
You can hear
so
him
good.
saying that. That's hilarious.
Yeah. Yeah, he's really helped out. Like I would say, like I'm shocked he has Ez as tier 2. I guess like it is kind of tier 2, but it's just everywhere. I feel like I play some Ezra variant all the time, and just like don't play Ezreal until he's leveled. Like Swim adding that to his
It's huge.
is like, oh my god, he just told so many people not to punt against me, because it's like, man, why are they playing this Ezreal right now? Like I'm just gonna kill this thing. And like someone I played, I think I like played 2 games on lunch today, and someone played all 3 Ezreals unflipped, and I was like, this is a joke. Like,
Oh,
how is
man.
this happening? But yeah, it's so funny. Just don't play it till she's a 2/4. It's it's easy, like pretty easy. 4 is a lot harder to kill, and
Play
you
all
can
the
just
spells and
combo out.
response.
You can just play all the spells in response.
I will say one of my favorite plays with the Ezreal deck is I was playing against Hecarim, I think the Fearsome Rally, and they harrowing on like 5 or 7, and I was like,
Yeah.
Okay, I'm going to drop a Ice Veil Archer, and then they attacked, and I'm like, okay, and I had like I had a bitter I just
Flash
frost-
freeze?
Yeah, I had a Harsh Winds and
Brutal
Flash
Steel?
Freeze. No, Flash Freeze ready to go. I had never lived through a harrowing before with one dude, and I was like, oh, I live.
Yeah, it's awesome when your deck is set up to do that. Like my deck has a bunch of ways to like kind of deal with that harrowing play, and sometimes it can be scary, but other times you're just like, yeah, I'm just gonna box here, or I'm gonna just what is it? What's the wrath? The 9-spell wrath. My brain.
Ruination.
Ruination.
This is our second podcast in a row. My brain is off. So yeah, it's just ruination. It's like, all right, cool, sweet, good play.
Yeah, that was like the OG answer. Like the harrowing decks were already running Ruination. They're like, harrowing, Ruination you. Okay, well, I'll Ruination that. And you're like, I hate you.
Square one. But yeah, so yeah, you mentioned Lux Karma still being tier 1. I'm actually pretty surprised by that. I haven't seen it a ton, and I have certainly lost to it. It has some strong plays. But yeah, I'm not like super impressed by it. I don't know how you guys feel.
Well, it was based off of Gummy's version, I guess. So Emerald Awakeners and Kinkle Life Blades with standalones are just disgusting versus any of the aggro decks.
Mhm.
Like most of them can't efficiently kill it. They're bashing you for 5s and healing through it.
Standalone is really, really good. It's probably too good.
Yeah. And then like single combat. So then you finally get to go kill it and they like kill your other guy and whatever and put back to like 20 and you're just like, all right, whatever, guy.
Yeah, I did actually have pretty good luck against that in my climb with the spider deck. And it mainly just came around to, again, underdropping. But I got to flip my Elise almost every single game against that deck because there's not a lot they can do early. So you just mulligan for like pure spiders and Elise. And then you start pulling their guy off to the side and put all your big guys over. And then you just run through them. And they can't heal in time because you get to attack on like 1 and 3, or you get to attack on 2, and they have like nothing to play on turn 1 through 3.
Yeah, I ran that deck a little bit this weekend, and I played against this specific one, and it's like, yeah. But then I played it against it twice. So first one, reamed right through it, no problem. Second one, they got off, like, I think the Emerald Awakener with the standalone, and I just, with the lifesteal, it was just, there, even with spiders, it was no way of coming back.
Yeah, glimpse is like super important, that matchup, because like whoever they sit in front of for the most part, then you have to glimpse it. And so like ordering your attack is super important if you have glimpse, depending on who they want to block. So like they're usually kind of low when they're in that situation, and so you put like your weenies in the front of your attack path, and then you put your big guys in the back so they can't block your big guy because they'll die from the weenies with pumps. So then they have to block someone they don't want to block, and then you glimpse that guy, and then they don't get any life steal, and that's how I was able to like win most of those games.
Yeah, it's such a huge blowout. Like Glimpse is so freaking good, and it just does so much work for all the aggro decks. Be it like stopping them from gaining life or blowing out a removal spell. It's just a huge 2-for-1.
Yeah. So like in specific, one of the variants. So the variant that Swim alluded to had like Bright Steel protectors, but the version you find on Mobilytics has solitary monks. So then it's like, oh, like what's the differential here? And like the Swim one had single combats. The other one had like more 4-drops, only had like 1 judgment, whereas like the one Swim put had 2. And like judgment's a huge blowout versus aggro because
Yes.
most of the aggro can't like actually kill the
Yeah,
guy
they
in
can't
response.
stop a judgment, right?
Yeah, so it's just like, oh, blocked with my 1/5/5, swiped all your guys. I'm back at 20. Good luck.
Yeah, you basically have to just forget judgment's a card when you're playing the aggro deck and just pretend they never have it.
Right.
Yeah, and then when they do, you just cry.
Yeah, I lost a couple of games because I tried to
Okay.
play around it because I'd like, okay, if he does this, X and X character lives and they'll heal for this much, so I'm just not going to put these characters in. And because I did that, it allowed them some other ways to get out of like the lethal. And it after that, I was like, okay, I'm just going to pretend judgment isn't a card. Just
Yeah, you have to put them
everyone
on a clock,
goes in.
right? You just have to put them on a clock.
Yep.
And say either you
Jam
have
in.
it or don't.
Yep. Them days. But yeah, so I could see where it does stuff. It's a really good control deck. Like if Karma and Lux are there and it's turn 10.
I mean, yeah, it's over.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know about you, but I've taken many shots to the face from those 0.
I've taken 0. I just surrender. There's that button. I'm going for speed.
Yeah, usually whenever I play them, it's like I get them to 3, and then they go back to 20, and I'm like, okay, see you later, next game.
Bye-bye. But yeah, that's the meta as a whole, right? Like it feel like it hasn't changed much. But so I guess
Good segue.
what do we think the nerfs are going to be, right? Because we got to see this probably shake up again next week. So next podcast you guys hear, we'll already know what's going to happen. So what would you guess? Let's go with Shane first. Shane, you take the guess.
I don't want to take what I think someone else is going to take, so because
Go for it.
I love Elnux. I hope that's not true, but I'm going to argue
100%.
I think I'm going to argue Shadow Isles still. It's going to get some nerfs. I really think the Harrowing and Deathmark ephemeral stuff is a little hard to play around sometimes, right? Because I mean, like, unless you're playing denies, you can't get around a low turn 7 bring everyone back. Yeah, it's just I feel like sometimes that's keeping the ephemeral mid range pretty on par with keeping it up there, right? Like, I'd like to see something that's not a Shadow Isles deck come to the top and stay there just for a little bit.
Well, the ephemeral mid range doesn't actually run Harrowing.
I was saying, like, in general, like I said the Harrowing and the what was it, Deathmark swap. Because like the Deathmark swap's there for 1, the lifesteal guy, and 2, yeah, like the Darkwater Scourge. That's what I'm thinking of. Like that guy,
Yeah.
I think he's so good for 3, even with ephemeral on him, right? Because you're getting back 5 most likely that turn. So he's pay 3, possibly do 5, and gain 5 for 1 card.
Yeah, he just sucks if they like chump block and sacrifice or chump block and shock their own guy. But it's all based on what mana they have, right? Like, because if your opponent has the 3 up for Deathmark, if they can't swing immediately, because if they swing, you just pass, take the 5, and then he's gone. You don't have to worry about the Deathmark. So they'd have to like jam it, and if they jam it and you somehow kill your own dude or any of that, then like it doesn't go away.
See, and I see them
Like,
doing a lot
that's-
more on defense kind of thing. 'Cause
Yeah.
you can't pass. Because if you pass and you don't attack, they're just gonna death mark you anyway, and then they keep it, and so you have to attack and try to get rid of it. Like I've seen a lot of people playing it on defense.
It's very possible the people I was playing against like weren't the best, but I found that like I got blown out by that the first several times I saw it, and then like it's never worked against me since then because you just mulligan a little differently, and then you just wait for it because they can't actually play a 1/2 drop at all if they actually want to do that combo on 3 because they have to bank the mana to get there, and the guy already costs 3 to play, so they have to just take it all in the face, and in that time you just save a glimpse, and then you save your mana and you don't tap out. And then when they play it and they try and move, you just glimpse your guy, and then it doesn't move, and their guy dies. And it's like, well, you just wasted essentially 3 turns doing nothing, and my board is still here, and I just drew 2 cards. Or anything else you could do to remove your guy.
Right. Again,
Also works.
you're all the examples of the 4 that it's like you have the answers in hand, right? So I'm talking like, and on 3, I don't see this guy being played on 3. I see him being played 5, right before they're about to die, and they're trying to get right back up there. And if they can, it's really hard to play around it for 3 turns past 3, right? On 3, on 4, and then on 5 again.
Well,
Well, you're supposed to hold the
it's
answer for forever.
Yeah, it's a 6 mana
So
play.
like the thing is, like you see Zed Hecarim, you're supposed to know that's there, right?
Mhm.
You see like you
Well,
see Ionia Shadow
You guys
Isles,
have just used Glimpse, though. What's an example that's not Glimpse?
Purify, Mystic Shot your own guy, Get Excited your own guy. Anything you can kill spell your own guy or kill their guy.
Deny also works when you're playing a deny deck. You just hold
Yeah.
the deny and you keep it at 4.
Yeah.
The entire time.
Like Spider is the only thing they have there is Glimpse for. There's some decks that just don't have an actual answer. You could single combat kill your own guy.
Yeah, so I'm trying to say is like but the thing is, even if we go into it and I single combat, I'm not going to heal that turn, but I'm still probably going to get death mark off. So I'm going to have a guy that I have to deal with that 5/5 for 3 that is lifesteal for the next few rounds.
No. When you death mark,
No.
if my guy dies in response, you don't get to remove the
The
effect.
death mark doesn't move. So like it doesn't move it, so it just insta dies. Like if the target is no longer valid, then he keeps it.
Yeah. Sorry, I'm thinking on defense where like they're coming in. You guys are thinking on
They're supposed to
offense.
open attack though. That's why you're not supposed to. So if it's my turn, I'm just supposed to attack.
Yeah, you just open attack.
You know
so
you're
you
playing
play,
against that, you don't
play a
play it.
1, a 2, and then on 3 you just open attack.
And if they play it, you're like, okay, show me what you got. Oh, okay, you don't have anything. Whatever. Like maybe made me skip my 3-drop, but I killed him for nothing. Or whatever. I then kill it on the defense. So they really tend to do it on the offense.
So you guys don't think the ephemeral mid range is a
No.
top tier deck?
I don't think that's the good part of the deck. I think it's Hecarim and Rekindler. I would not mind a nerf to Rekindler, even if it's just stat wise. I think that would dissuade people from playing it. Rekindler feels like an issue, but Hecarim is the main issue if you want to go into Shadow Isles. It's still overly strong. I think.
Would you still play Rekindler if he was a 1/1? I would.
It's not that like I don't want people not to play it. I just don't want them to. It feels oppressive when they also have the 4/4 to back it up because 4/4
when
in
they
the
pull
meta
back
I think is
Hecarim, I'm
overly
just
strong.
like, oh, okay, I got to do this again.
Yeah.
And then like they play another Hecarim and they Rekindler, or they Chronicler, their Rekindler, and it's just like it just gets so out of hand. I could care if that thing was a 1/1, I would still be like,
Yeah.
this card is completely absurd.
But if Hecarim got nerfed, right? Like if Hecarim made one guy, like yes,
If Hecarim got nerfed, I wouldn't care.
Yeah.
It's just the Rekindler ability and that it recurs. And I think we talked about this last week, or maybe in private, just like the fact that there's like a constant card in your quote unquote graveyard that doesn't exist. Like even if you bring that Hecarim back, like you can Rekindler again, even though you shouldn't have a Hecarim in your graveyard, but there's still a Hecarim in your graveyard. And like that's what's tilting. It's like, no, there should be one, and you brought that back. Like you shouldn't just be able to bring infinite Hecarims back. That's where like that's the thing I'd like to get nerfed. Is sort of like dealing with one Rekindler. It sucks, it's really strong. But you want to make it a 1/1. I'll still say it's too strong. But it would really have to be like give us an actual graveyard, and you can't just have infinite of the same champion out. Because I'm sure you've seen the games where people have like 12 Anivias out somehow. You know what I mean? It's just like
You're like Rekindler, Dawn and Dust Rekindler, pull back. You have 3 karmas and real karmas, and you're just like, what the fuck is this?
Right, and at that point, it's like this is just so stupid. Dawn and Dusk
Yeah.
Rekindler is really annoying.
Yeah.
Another way I could see them nerf it if they don't want to change anything else about the card is they just make the ability like a play ability where you can respond to it.
Oh,
it
it's like
also
a skill one.
Yeah, it also wouldn't be a bad way to do it.
Um,
But I think Rekindler should be nerfed because even outside of Hecarim, it's oppressive in a lot of mid range decks.
yeah, because the stat behind it is just insane, right? Like,
ridiculous.
what
Yeah,
other
it's
6
insane.
drops doing that much? So, like, I could see what if Rekindler shrunk in size. If Rekindler pulled the weakest champion, then it could mess with the way your opponent has to build their base.
Mhm.
They could give either him or the champion ephemeral, so that you know it's gonna die right after. Meaning, if you wanted those big crazy plays where you chronicler it and do stuff, like you'd have to have way later mana. Or just in general, like you can't do it on like 6, right? Like that's what I think that's what the Garen deck does. Like it just has 3 Rekindler. So it's like, okay, here's Fiora, or here's Garen. Okay, Rekindler, my annoying guy already back. In leveled up champions stay leveled up. That gets mighty disgusting, right? You get like a flipped Garen back. It's like, oh crap. But yeah, no, lots of complaints about that. Definitely tons of complaints about the Elnuks.
Question: while you guys are on that, does
yeah.
like so for rummage, like an item that makes you discard, does rummage count as like if I
No.
discard versus?
No, so when you discard a card, it obliterates, which exiles it or sets it aside, or RFGs, whatever you want to call it. They also changed it so before the most recent patch, if I played a champion spell, it was considered my champion like kind of dying or being destroyed or going to the graveyard or whatever you want to call it, and Rekindler could play it. Meaning I could have like Fjord on 3, played the riposte that she turned into, and now there's a Fiora in there.
Yep.
And then Rekindler on 6, boom, continue. So it's just like, oh, you know, like they adjusted that one, but I think there's some random bugs where it's still happening at times. But no, I definitely understand that. From a power level, it's too high. Like, do I deal with it? Sure. Am I like complaining about it? Not really. But I could definitely see if you're trying to make things even, that does have to scale back. Like Hecarim has to scale back, Rekindler has to scale back.
Dawn and Dusk.
Elnuks have to scale back.
I think Dawn and Dusk is fine if those are like hit, right?
Yeah, I
It just
agree with
depends
that.
when you get when you Rekindler and you get a permanent guy. When you already have a permanent guy, like I think my issue is just that like you can have infinite of a guy, and that makes no sense. Even if they hit all those other things, having infinite of one champion just seems absurd to me.
Can you explain me the Elnuk? Why does it need to be nerfed?
Elnuk, well, its effect is basically squeezing out mid-range decks because it gets a ton of additional value for almost nothing. But it's just simply because twofold. One, it's not dead if you have 2 in your hand because it reshuffles the deck, which makes it worth playing. If it didn't reshuffle, there's almost an argument that mathematically it's incorrect to play if you don't get a good first pull, because then everything else is dead the rest of the game. But even if it just pulls a 4/5, you're paying 5 for a 3/3 and a 4/5. And if on 4, if you drop a 4/5, it's already typically better than everything else.
Yeah. So I think
there's no downside to playing the combo.
From a stat perspective, with how big the deck is in general, checking for 10 and playing it unlimited of them ends up being a little too busted. Also, it messes up Expedition quite a bit.
Oh, Expedition
oh my
for sure.
God, the
Expedition for sure. No. We're not arguing that. I'm talking like in a because I actually Elnuk's one of my favorite decks I've been playing, and so I mean there's plenty of times that I've whiffed and plenty of times that I've hit the nuts, but I don't feel like it. I think that's the gamble of it, the RNG.
Sure, but if it hits any single Elnuk, do you feel like it was a whiff?
No, one Elnuk is perfect for me.
Yeah, so like the one Elnuk, you're looking at 1/4 of the entirety of your deck. By the time you've casted it, you've seen 4 cards and drawn 5, so you only have 31 left. Let's say you hit it on 5 exact, I think. So you're going through a third of your deck looking for as many of those as possible, and you're maxing out at 5 left. It's just like the odds are pretty amazing that you're going to hit at least one.
Right. I want to hit. You mean hit one Elnuk, not a bull, right? Because 2 bulls.
Any even if you get 2 3/3s, it's like, okay, that's fine.
It's
like
it's on.
It's fine. Like,
I
sure,
would
you
call
want the
only
bull.
pulling one other troop a whiff. Like if someone pulls 2, like plays a troop, pulls 1 troop, I'm like, that's a joke. Who cares? It's terrible.
Yeah,
Yeah,
two-
and like
two,
that,
two,
that's
threes?
fine.
Yeah, that's
Like
They're all going in the box anyway. It doesn't matter.
yeah,
Put them in the box.
get in there. Oh, you pulled 2 Troop of Elnuks with it? No
Dude,
problem.
I had the dream where someone pulled that if they just had 3 troops, and I was like, put them in the box.
I'd have felt so bad. Like I love that
Oh,
deck, so when I hit troops, I'm like, oh, that's so good.
I'm
And then somebody plays the box, and I'm like, who are you, Bobby Sapphire?
that guy instant conceded when he only had 3 troops and I boxed immediately. He instant conceded. Instant concedes are one of my favorite things of the game. Like the way they happen, concedes are just so funny to me.
Yeah. I could see
Like I spit my
matching
drink
it
out
too.
sometimes when people concede. It's just like so good. I'm like, all right, how's he gonna deal with this? Concede.
I could see where they limit it to 2 or scale back the number of cards it's checking to like 8.
Yeah.
Like I think a minor adjustment probably makes sense, but it's upset a lot of people because the game tries to limit RNG a lot. I feel like sure we have like Flash of Brilliance and we have Karma RNG, but like Elnuk RNG is probably the only one that could like auto just win a game. Elnuk hit all 5. Like the odds of that really low, but when you get 3 of them, you hit like you play the troop, hit like a bull and a regular troop. That's a whole lot of stat
Yeah.
for 5.
Yeah, but
I'd
the
just
odds
see
of
the same
hitting 2,
power as
the
Hecarim.
odds.
Yeah, but Hackerum's also too overpowered. So what's your point?
Yeah.
Well, like you're naming things like in my mind, it's not top 3 is Hecarim, Kindler, and Elnuk. It's like Elnuk's like 7.
All right, name the other 3.
Name the other 3. All right, so as I said,
It's
like
4
Dawn and
technically,
Dusk,
but yeah.
right? So hold on, I can
But
name
not-
it. Give me some time, and I'll name the other 3.
Hold
that
on,
are
hold on,
important. You guys go through.
I'll give you time, but let's talk about Dawn and Dust then. So like it's making 2 copies ephemeral. When's it broken? Besides when it makes for Kindler or Heckerums? In what, Karma on like turn 10?
Karma at any time. And
No,
Nivea at
early
any time.
Karma. Making 2 copies of Karma that are ephemeral and gonna die on like 7 doesn't do anything.
Anytime
Besides
it
get you 2
copies.
cards.
No, a Nivea.
No, Nivea's yes.
Okay, Nivea's yes. Rekindler's yes. Hecarim's yes.
Yeah,
And
yeah,
what's-
but those are
what's
all
in the-
broken decks.
Yeah,
What's in the meta?
but also-
okay, so those are all broken. So you're saying a Nivea is also on that list?
No. Nivea doesn't
No.
count. Nivea has her own thing, but you have to get to 10.
Yeah, but also think about how much mana you're investing in this combo. Like,
Yeah.
the combo's super strong and like maybe borderline broken, but it's a lot of mana investment, and it's the 2 card investment, and it's a setup investment. Like, you can't have your guy die in the meantime while you're trying to set up the combo, and you can't die in the meantime, and it happens later in the game. My argument with Troop is it happens on 5. It requires 1 card.
It does require 1 card, but you have a possibility of spending your whole turn 5 to play a 3/3. That's
Correct.
That's the detriment between hitting 1 bull or hitting 1 troop. I feel like the fact that I play all my mana on 5 and hit a 3/3, that floor is much lower than this. The ceiling's very high, but the floor is also very low.
Sure. How much stat do you feel you've lost if you play a 5 cost 3/3? Like what if you played a generic 5 cost? What would the
On
stat?
5, on
Yeah.
5, I
On
feel like
5.
I played nothing because
No.
usually
But what stat does it need to be?
to play. What do you mean with the
So if
ability or
you
not with
played
the
5,
ability?
you want, like for a stat for 5, does that have to be like a 6/6?
Yeah,
It has to be
5/5,
6/6 with no ability. It has to
Yeah,
be 6/6
6/6 with no
6/6
ability.
ability.
6/6 with no ability. Okay, so you feel like you lost 3 stat. So the
No,
odds
I don't
are
feel like no, because I don't feel like I lost 3 stat because if I play it on 5 and it's a 3/3 on 5 3/3 I've played it's a 0. It might as well be nothing because I'm not going to be able to trade on 5/5 with a 3/3.
well, you can't trade with your opponent's 5/5. But what I'm saying is if you were playing a 6/6 that was generic,
I
you
can't
have
I can't trade with their 4/4 on a 4.
yeah, you can't trade with a
That's
lot
what
of
I'm saying,
stuff.
it's
Your
playing
1/1
0.
can't
That's what I'm
trade with the
saying.
4/4.
Exactly, that's what I'm saying. So the 3/3 is literally 0, not
But it's
3.
not because it still kills 3/2s. It still trades with 4/3s. It kills guys that are like weakened. What I'm
Yeah.
saying is
It,
your
it still
stat
goes over
differential.
fearsome.
We're referring to the stat differential because if you troop and you hit another troop, you still can't kill a 5/5 in 1 combat swing.
Right,
but
that's why
the-
it's a miss.
But that's why we're talking about the stat differential. So like if you were gonna play a generic 6/6 for 5, would you do that in general?
6/6 for 5 on 6 or 5. Yeah.
on 5.
Yeah.
Yeah. So what I'm saying is you lost 3 stat, but as long as you hit any one Elnuck, you're guaranteeing more than that stat.
Yes, I agree with that.
Yeah. So I'm
But
saying
you
if they limit
don't,
it to like
you're-
2
you're-
max
the
Elnucks,
detriment- I'm saying the detriment is much
I
higher.
just don't think you miss. Like my issue is I don't ever see it just like I almost never see it miss at least one thing.
the,
Because
You don't play it enough then.
the misses
Because
are
the percentage is super low. You're super low to miss hitting one guy.
I mean, we can do the math. I haven't done the math. You're probably, I believe you're probably right, but I have definitely missed my fair share. And this is the deck I've played mostly through gold to plat. So like, I've
But
been
you
playing
said
it
if you hit 1, you call it a miss. We're only calling no hits a miss.
one troop.
I don't think that's a miss. I think
That's
that's
I
what
call
they're
that a
saying.
miss, and
I
I
call
think
it a
that's
miss too.
fair.
I call it a miss because it's a 3. It's the same as me. The difference is I'm not gonna be able to trade. I'm not gonna be able to attack. These guys now become blockers.
The
You're-
other
you're
thing
not-
I factor in is like I can only ever draw one more troop, so like my chances of like having a big blowout turn are also
Yeah,
diminished.
that means my
But
next
yeah.
4 cards are like, oh, okay, they're just in my deck now. Those next 4.
But
So-
Elnucks are stable. Like they just stabilize your mid game. That's all they do. So if you hit a 3/3 and another 3/3, your mid game is pretty locked up in a lot of cases. Like that's good for you. Like you're only playing
On
this so
5?
that you're only playing this so that you can chump block or just block damage in the middle of the game so that you can get to your late game. That's how it's used in almost all the decks. Yeah, maybe you could use it a more aggressive way, but that's how it's being used right now. And that space, like that gap that it actually takes up, is really, really strong in the current meta, and it's the reason why mid range isn't working out near as well as we expected it to.
I don't think it is. I think it's a 1-turn block. It's a 1-turn. Even if I hit one of them,
That's-
I block for one turn. It gets me through 1 turn.
I,
for
I
all
guess
my
like
mana.
part of the other issue you got to understand is that like so if you play a troop and hit 1 bull Elnuck, the bull would have cost you 4. So your differential was you paid 1 for a 3/3, and like the odds are just so low you miss. That's why I'm saying like if you hit
Yeah,
you
I
hit
agree.
another
We
troop,
have to do the math for the odds. I don't know the odds for sure. I mean, if you're
Yeah.
saying on curve for 5, you have, and you don't have any in your hand, you have 1 card in your hand. You're saying you have 31 cards left.
I'd say you're more than 50% to hit at least 1 dude, no matter which dude it is.
Yeah, I don't know the odds. We can
It-
figure that out.
it's
later.
probably like sub 25% to miss completely.
I think we should do
it-
the
it-
math. That sounds like a good video.
All right, we'll do the math. It's more intense because it depends on how many cards in your deck, what turn you're planning on, etc.
Exactly.
How many
And I'm
cards?
talking like 5. Like we just again, I don't want to dive into.
Yeah,
this,
5. But did you draw a bull? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean,
Um,
I'm talking the exact bull on 5. What's the odds?
troop on 5.
Troop on 5. You're right.
Yeah, if you haven't drawn any
Exactly.
others.
Yep.
Yeah.
Perfect situation.
That would be the
But
perfect situation.
let's move on.
Okay. But that was there. So I think they could hit troop where it like maxes at 2.
Let's move on.
We're not talking about the stat. I'm just saying I
my
think that's where they
God.
could hit. All right. What else? So what do you guys think could happen to Hecarim? Stat decrease, remove overwhelm, make it 1 summon guy.
I think remove overwhelm is a start.
2 turns.
I could see. I don't know if I could see that. I could see like any adjustment to any of the stats. 3 1s. I could see him being a 4/5. I could see him being a 3/6. I could see them making any kinds of just like minor tweaks.
Yeah, I don't think there's a ton of things you have to change to make him. You just need to lower the amount of stats you get for 6.
Do you think you still
Um,
play him if he's a 4/4?
If he's a 4/4
If he's a 4/4,
and nothing
I mean-
else changes,
nothing else changed.
I don't think the decks are the same, but I think you play ways to keep him alive,
Mhm.
or you just play ways to abuse Rekindler.
Yeah.
Because you're still getting 10. You're still getting half life total for 1 card.
Half life total swing if the board was open. There's so many times I've seen like if they hit that in a rush variant, so you're already struggling, and then he comes down, and you're just like, all right, scoop it up.
Yeah,
I'm done. But like when they're playing control and they play him, you're like, well, I have guys because I'm playing mid range or aggro. Okay.
Yeah, I definitely when I'm playing Hecdinger, there are several situations where I'm like, a Hecarim doesn't even phase me because I'll deal with the Hecarim. I can I can vengeance it. I can block with a chump up and box. Like I have plays that I really like. It's that follow up rekindler, dawn
Yep.
and dusk. Now I'm looking at 3 rekindle. Now I'm looking at 3 Heckrums, and I have my only out as ruination, and that sucks. So I'm still like you have made a good point. Like, am I complaining about it? No. I feel the same way. I'm only like really talking about it because we brought it up, but otherwise it's just like something I have to deal with, and I hope not to face it. I'm surprised more people aren't playing it, to be honest. But
I could actually make the argument that I would be fine if Hecarim took no nerf if they just like fixed Rekindler. Because
think
I
that's
can
reasonable.
almost always deal with Hecarim like when he's first played. Like
Yeah, I
because
mean,
you
you-
know it's coming,
so
you save
good,
up
and
for it.
you need to deal with it. Yeah.
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 And so like I would be fine with that. I can't always deal with the second one very efficiently, or I never can deal with the third one. Like,
Yeah,
Exactly.
or
Yes, exactly.
when they have 3 out at the same time.
Yeah.
So like, yeah, I don't know. Do you have an idea of what you would like to see?
I don't know. Like the only thing I can realistically think for Rekindler was the give a farm roll to him or the champion, or switch him to weakest champion and see how it goes.
I like the.
So
I
that
thought
you-
about that too, but I don't think that'll do anything.
You don't
Well,
think
so the only
Eternal
reason-
will?
The only reason for weakest champion is it would mess up the decks that are trying to go multi-champion, right?
Yeah, but
So,
like the Hecarim doesn't need another champion. Or
Correct.
like if
but
you
then-
get Thresh, like okay, fine.
Yeah, so if you're going Thresh Hecarim, but then like he's limited a bit more to that, whereas like you can't easily go Zed Hecarim because you're just always gonna pull Zed. And then
I
Zed
think
may
making him
scratch the surface.
ephemeral is. I'm making whatever champion he gets back ephemeral is like probably the best fix.
Yep.
yeah,
Yeah.
because then you can't play it defensively. You can only play it to attack. Like you can play it defensively, but then
Right,
I
but
can
not
just
in an
pass.
oppressive way. Yeah.
Yeah. And that's actually the issue. Is like they play it on 6, and the next turn they're like, "Oh, it's back," and you're like, "I got to deal with this again." Okay, I'll spend
Yeah.
my whole turn
We
dealing
just
with it.
left
Oh,
this
it's back.
party. Yeah.
And if they want the champion to stay around, if they make the Rekindler ephemeral at least, then you can abuse it easily with Dawn and Dusk and like Ruin, Chronicler of Ruin and stuff. It becomes much harder because you have to do it all at the same time.
Yeah, and if you want to do the death mark thing, like then it's like, all right, well then I worked hard to make my 2-card combo. Or not
Yeah.
like hard, but like it's a 2-card combo rather than a broken 1-card combo.
You're just like, oh well, I played this one guy and he was disgusting, and you killed him. He's back now.
Mhm.
No responses, no nothing. You can't change this.
So
Interesting.
all right, we still talking about this one, or you want to move on?
Any other
um,
last cards you guys can think of?
Yeah, I mean I haven't gone yet. I think I'd like to see death mark. Maybe only be +2/+2.
Oh, Mark of the House.
Mark of the House.
Sorry, Mark of the Isles. I did death mark in the head. Yeah, I would like to see Mark of the Isles, and so I don't know if you can like make it 2 cost. Maybe you can, or just like +2/+2, or even like +1/+1. But I guess like that would be no different than like whatever the normal
Rage
Demacia
strike.
+1. Yeah, right. But just like I think that card's really, really, really strong, and when you combine it with the 5/5, I know Shane just mentioned, but I forget his name, and Deathmark, it's like, oh, now I have to deal with an 8/8
Darkwater
lifelinker for
Dark
the rest of the
Water.
Darkwater Scourge.
It not being for
It's
the
like,
turn.
oh my
is
god.
definitely counter to what you would expect.
Yeah, and that's it. The first time that happened against me, I was like, oh, I've never actually read Mark, and like not knowing it was only for the turn is like, I guess their thinking was, oh well, he's dead anyway, so who cares?
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
Jesus, the first time that happened to me, I was like, all right, this sucks.
Yeah, it's the difference between grant and give. Grant is a permanent, and
Right.
give is usually for the round.
Yeah, and it usually just says for the end till the end of the round.
Mhm.
It says that as well, but literally the word grant tends to be permanent,
the-
and give
the
is
key.
for the round.
Yeah,
so
I
if you're
just,
ever
like,
looking for that.
You know, because the guy dies at the end of the round, I just never even considered that it was. You know, you just look at those numbers, +3/+3 ephemeral. You know what it does. You didn't, and yeah, it was only when I looked upon closer examination that I was like, holy crap.
Yeah.
This is going to be bonkers off the wall. Do you have something to add about Mark?
Yeah, I was like, I 100% agree. I think +2/+2 is fine. Or they could even do something like +3/+2.
Yeah, or plus
You know,
3/+1. +3/+1 is a pretty
Plus
common
one.
like magic pop.
Yeah. Yeah, so move those around a little bit, but +3/+3 is way too strong for one. It's just way too strong.
Yeah, pushing way out of removal range was rough. There's many times like an X1 get excited and then he just like survived.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
Let my
and that,
thermals kill Hecarim, please.
right. I agree. Like that, it's just like, yeah, the defensive pump gets too out of hand. So that would be my number one vote. After the whole mechanical thing with Rekindler, would be some way to nerf Mark. But also I just I think we're seeing a lot of really strong problematic 3-cost spells that, we talked about this with Deny when Deny got nerfed, that you can just skip a turn and then all of a sudden you have Deny protection for the rest of the game. And that's what caused them to make Deny 4. That
Mhm.
I actually would like to see spell mana be only 2. I think that'd be way more fair.
Oh,
think three
that'd
is,
be
Oof.
that'd be
Because I think the jump from 2 to 3 is where the spells get absolutely busted. Like
Yep.
Man, I'm so bad with names, but the thing that gives +3/+0 or +0/+3,
Twin Disciplines.
Prismatic Barrier, a lot of the 3-cost Get Excited, a lot of the 3-cost spells, Flash of Brilliance into Get Excited out of a Heimer deck, a lot of the 3-cost spells are just when that jump happens from all right, pretty decent 2-cost spell, nothing that costs 2 other than maybe Glimpse is really blowing me out of the water.
Mhm.
But at 3, it opens up to a whole bag of tricks that you're able to do, when you carry that mana over, and still hit on curve.
I feel like that's the fair game though. That's what kind of keeps control around, is that you can skip 1 and 2 and start
Yeah.
on 3 and cast 6 drops.
Maybe that is too strong. I just think that spell mana is busted.
Yeah, but this is the whole reason I have that idea of can I just also play a mid-range deck that undercosts, and then I always have 3s up, and
I
I'm
agree.
playing an undercost guy, and I'm playing amazing 3s, and doesn't matter if you're control or aggro because I have everything.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
So I'm on board. I think we talked about this before.
Oh, really? I don't remember talking about. Maybe I was
talk about 3 costs being essentially free.
Oh,
and
yeah,
play
for sure.
extra.
I think obviously they've been testing this game for a while, and I don't know if they've ever considered it, but I think it would be a pretty interesting consideration. Even if it was just something they tried, didn't work, they went back to 3. But I'd like to see what decks look like without it, and maybe it does just nerf control way too hard. But and I don't think control is necessarily OP, although I really, really like it. I just think it would be interesting.
Yeah, I don't know. I'd kind of be shit afraid. As my mid-range control player tendencies lean towards that spell mana. The other dilemma is it makes the expensive spells already harder than they are. So skip 1, skip 2, play a 6-cost spell on 3 is really good until you realize you're back to 4 actual mana and you don't have spell mana built until you skip again.
Yeah, no, I mean I get all that, but it also makes it so you can harrowings a turn later, ruinations a turn later. You can only play that 12-cost spell on 10. There's you can't you just can't abuse it, and it's abusable. It's abusable.
Do you think they would have to the 12-cost spell is not really being played as much, so do you think they would have to make that 11 if we did this? They'd have to reevaluate some of the higher cost spells.
I think that they could potentially evaluate something like that. If they still want you to be able to drop it on 9, and that's where they deem it's fair to be able to do something like that. I don't, and I wouldn't have a problem with that by any means if they took a conscious thought to all right, if we're gonna do this, we need to overhaul some of the more expensive things or even some of the cheaper things. And it's Get Excited might. Yeah, I don't think Get Excited would cost 2, but they might bump things down to 2 so you could still do them on curve with spell mana up. I just think it is interesting. I think 3 is a lot, and I think 3-cost spells are really, really good. Really good.
I think it's one of those things they
I'd
just
rather
have
see
to
it
be
the other way.
careful.
Go ahead.
Really?
Well, I
Go
mean,
on.
I'd rather see the cheap spells become more expensive, but leave the 3 spell mana available. I get the question is the 3 spell mana casting the Ruination that one on round 6, is that super broken or not? I feel by that point, if you can cast a Wrath and you've kept 3 spell mana, it's probably okay.
Yeah, I don't think that that's necessarily unfair.
Yeah, so it's just kind of the concern I think is on the cheaper stuff, and you can cast a Mark of Vials and a Glimpse when you have your 3 spell mana. It's not that playing my 6-drop spell on 3 because I skipped 1 and 2 is broken. I think it's the cheap stuff being able to kind of sneak in there. It went as a 2 of at 2 different times, but just off of the spell mana while hitting curve because I don't know, skipped 3 or something, or as Manton wanted, underdropped. And I think that's where the big beastly is because
Yeah, but then I think that just serves Shane's question where you say sure, then drop Ruination down to 8 and drop the 12 cost spell down to 11. You can do those things, and I think that works. I think it's probably a bigger question. I don't necessarily like even say like that's the nerf I'm calling for, but I would be interested to see them start to like take a look at that, even if it's just like in the background, or as like just considering that spell mana is too strong.
Yeah,
I
it
think
seems
it
like
would
a
work.
too
I-
major.
Yeah, I agree. And I'm kind of in Joe's world, I think, because I think that might be too big of an overhaul. I think I'd maybe want to just reevaluate the 3-cost spells, and then maybe bump up some 2s or bump up some 4s, and I think just adjustment. But I do think you're exactly right. The 3s are where the broken stuff starts, and so if you can find the broken stuff and maybe make it an extra, maybe not change the cost, but change how it works slightly, and it would still get where you're trying to get at.
My argument is maybe it's not like the biggest problem in the world right now. Like we're just seeing effects of it, but like in design space going forward, it does make it really difficult to design additional 3-cost and 2-cost and 1-cost spells. It's just like how I don't think rally right now is a huge issue for 3, but I think in the future it could be completely busted for 3 and fast. And it's just things like I agree, because I think 3-cost spells they feel like they do way too much for how much you pay for it.
Yeah, and I also like kind of caveat this with like I don't really love to talk about like potential nerfs as often as we do, just because like I think the game is actually pretty solid. And while like it's still in beta, so I think there's this expectation that there are going to be major changes happening. I'm very happy to just like play everything the way it's been playing. The only thing that's like feels really 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 oppressive is the rekindler stuff that I've mentioned several times now. But I think the game is still solid, and I don't mean like we need to change all these things. But if we're talking about like things that they could do, I think that's the best way to frame like how we're having this conversation. It's like we know that the changes are coming in a week. What could they be?
Yeah.
And that's important to like keep in mind. So it does, like, because I don't want people to just think that we're sitting here like complaining about the game, which is like not what we're doing by any means.
And
But
Riot loves to
like,
shake
when we
things up.
talk about it for so long, like it could just come across that way.
Yeah, but Riot likes to shake things up, so we know that something's happening.
Yeah,
Oh, yeah,
and
for
like
sure.
they go based on what other people are complaining about. So that like as Bobby Sapphire said, like the big thing here is we're discussing, what's come up and kind of our thoughts on the matter and like what we can see happening. But if Troop Eldnock stayed the same, that's no sweat off my back. I'm going to continue to play like that.
They should.
Yeah,
Like, that's
and you
how it
just
is.
like that there are good things in a game, and you adjust.
Yeah, you play the good things, you play the broken things, and that's
And you
just how it works.
try and find them, and that's what the
Yeah.
fun of playing a CCG is. Like that's why we do it.
Yeah, you find the answers to them, like the box. Dude, it's insane how good that is right now, right? You're like, oh, Kinko elusives, boxed.
Oh man, I
Troop
had
Eldnocks,
this one game
box.
today, and I ended up winning, so I was like pretty happy about it. But I'd Heimer out, and I played 2 small spells, so I had the 2-cost one and the 1-cost one, and I played the 2-cost one, and the guy like paused a minute and passed, and I was like, I should just pass here.
Yeah.
And I didn't, and I played the 1-1, and he boxed, and I was like, damn it, because he got my Heimer too. So if I just didn't do that, he wouldn't have even got my Heimer. It's like, oh, I'm so bad. I knew something was coming, but I didn't know it was the box, and that's my card.
You feel betrayed.
They put me in the box.
Nobody puts Bobo in the box.
Don't put Bobo in the box. No way. It's not happening. Oh man, I felt so bad. I felt like such a scrub. Thank God I won.
Oh, them days.
Yeah, Darius. Like, who's that? Draven.
Darius,
Like, Darius. Like, oh.
Yeah.
So dumb. Yeah, I would say like if I want to write an article like the number, like the things, the pitfalls of like control players that I find like making mistakes, and like up there is something that I fall like I'm like not tight enough with that my game leaks is when I know I should pass and I don't.
Oh God, I love doing that to people.
Oh, and I'm pretty good at it. Overall. Like
Yeah.
I think that's one of the strengths of my game. Something I absolutely learned from you playing Destiny is like when to just pass. And yes, but like I'm like, but I have this 1-1. It's going away at the end of the turn, and he knew I was gonna play it, but I didn't. Oh, dude, it's so. Just pass, Bobo. Just pass.
I will say that's one of the best things. Like the other day, some guy passed, and I'm like, okay, I'm gonna pass because this is like the perfect time. I know it's there, and so it feels real good to be in the like.
It's like Destiny gave us a leg up on one aspect of this game, and it's the
It's-
old pass.
Yeah.
Dude, I remember when I first started doing that to people, and it just felt like the most broken thing ever. Because like it just felt like no one else knew how to do it. I was
Mhm.
just like, he just passed. I could swing, but I'm really gonna only get 2 damage out of here. I'll end the round. He has 5 mana and 3 spell mana. Whatever. He lost his round. Doop. Next round.
Yep.
And then like, you just see like the sad face. Like at the beginning, people sent like the Poros crying emoji, and it's like, yes.
Now they're too sad to even do it.
Yeah.
They're actually sad.
Yeah.
All right. Is that it?
I think we're done for today. We did a good job.
Yeah. Okay. How long have we
You guys
been
tell
going?
us.
Hour
An hour and 10 minutes.
Hey, it's perfect. You're 10 minutes over. It's great. We got a little bit
I
longer.
just-
That's what people wanted.
I just want the podcasting to end.
It does for today. Next week.
Yeah. Well. So because like I feel like Riot doesn't know about the time change because my box open. Like I just checked my quests and they don't open until like 8 o'clock tomorrow morning, which
Mine's
feels so.
7:30.
Ugh, no. Mine's 8
Mine shouldn't change
7:50.
time. What the hell?
Mine changes all the time.
Yeah, it's
8
always
to
different.
6. Yeah.
I never paid that much. I guess I'm not logging in to click the box right away.
The
Yeah.
box.
Oh, I guess I'm
Like,
7:40 actually doing. I'm 7:40. That's not too bad, but it's like after school starts. I want to do it before school. All right. Well, anyone have anything else before we go?
Nah,
Nah.
we were gonna talk about low viewer counts, but
We'll save that.
Yeah,
for
let's
next
table
week.
that for next week. Yeah, long and short of it is that no one's watching Runeterra. If Swim's not streaming or Mogwai's not streaming, no one's watching. And is that an issue? I don't know. Is anyone listening to this because no one likes to ingest Runeterra? But we'll talk about that more maybe in 2 weeks
Yeah, next
because
week
we'll have all the
for sure.
changes next week.
Yeah.
we'll see what happens.
See if that changes.
Yeah, we'll squeeze it in, or like if you want to talk about it, comment on the YouTube channel, or on Reddit, and we'd love to talk about it. So from all of us at Tuesday's Chess Day, thanks for listening, and be happy to see all the videos tomorrow and post tomorrow about who's open and what. So don't forget,
Never skip
Never
chess
skip
day.
chest day.